This Friday night, we have the Group 3 Mandurah Cup, and we saw 5 strong heats over the weekend, James, to bring us to this sensational field in the final this Friday.
This is one of my favourite races of the year, Leia. I was down there for the heats last weekend. The racing was sensational. The atmosphere was great. I'm looking forward to this final.
Let's take a look at the box draw, and we have included the personal best times to give an indication of just how good this field is. And Sunset Piper was the fastest qualifier, but I don't think that means she's necessarily going to come out as the favourite given the quality of the opposition that she comes up against. There is something about this dog though at Mandurah. She really seems to love the track and has a good record with just the 6 starts, 4 wins and a second, so is a standout chance. Quadraro, however, has caught my eye here, drawn to perfection in the Cherry Box 1, 5 starts out of this draw over the 490 and has a 100% strike rate, James.
Well, speaking of dogs that have sensational personal best times, look at this one, best in the business, 27.08. He has been the king of the 490 down there at Mandurah, Quadraro, but now he has to take on the city dogs, these invaders that are coming into his territory, and his form probably not quite up to his top level that has been over the previous parts of the year. So is he going to be able to defend his patch here? We'll find out on Saturday, but he does have a good draw for it, doesn't he?
He does. He's drawn to perfection. Jimmy's Decision comes up with box 8. I'm not really too concerned with this draw out wide. As we saw in his heat run, he managed to perform well.
He certainly did, and here's another dog with a great personal best time over this distance, 27.20. A lot to admire about this heat run here. Gets pressured early stages on the outside by West on Grit. Jimmy's Decision able to work his way through that. He levels up to the leading Ripon Purton here. Ripon Purton just on the corner here loses a bit of concentration and wants to have a play. Jimmy's Decision is pushed wide but doesn't lose his focus and goes on to take this one out and put himself back in the winner's circle.
Another dog that was shining through the heats, James, and at value amongst a very tough company, I might add, is Sarong. There was so much congestion happening in this race, I didn't even know where to look.
This was super competitive, this heat, wasn't it? It was hot. The field compacted at the head for a long time here in the back straight. Sarong in green, pushing. Eventually, he's able to poke his nose through into clear air, and that is the only break he needs. Sarong kicking on and winning this one in comfortable fashion. Strong finish once again from this dog. Now, Leia, we've spoken a lot about Sarong over the past few months, and we will continue to speak a lot about him if he keeps making his way into these finals. I had a chat with trainer Paul Stewart after that heat win, and he labelled this dog the professional finalist, and we have a look at this graphic here and we'll see why. This is just over the past 3 months. He's made 6 finals. That's the good news. He's done really well through the heat stage. In the trophy decider, he's only got the 1 win so far. So Paul hoping that Sarong can change that this week. Of course, he does have the 2 chances, Sarong and Quadraro here.
What about Jackson County, James? Another greyhound that keeps bobbing up.
It certainly does. Remember, this dog was 4th in this race last year and won his heats in pretty nice fashion last weekend. There was some concerns with this greyhound leading into this series. I was speaking to Damon Crudelli earlier on today. We hadn't seen the dog for about a month or so prior to the heat last week. Had some injury concerns, hadn't had a lot of work off the track, was able to get through that, and his talent shone through. And now Damien, although he would have preferred a wider draw for this final, he's not too unhappy with box 3 here for the trophy decider. Here's what Damien had to say.
We didn't have much work leading into this race, which isn't ideal. And when he trialled, he only trialled equivalent to a grade 5 time. So I wasn't confident at all going into it. I was more hopeful that his class would prevail, and on the day it did. I still would prefer that outside draw. He doesn't like dogs on the outside of him, as you would have seen when last week when It was Sleepy George was on the outside and crossed him. All he wanted to do was get around it. And once he got to that outside, he just hit another gear, And so box 3, we've got Trajectory in the 2 that goes left, and Destruction, it's fairly quick, will probably beat him out, and Sarong sort of holds out on the track. So he might get a little bit of room and get into a forward position. So that's what we're sort of hoping for.
I think another greyhound worth mentioning in this field, James, is Trajectory. Only had his very first start at Mandurah in the heats, but I think he performed well. So he's got the inside draw here, as owner Jody Jennings has mentioned in the past, is a preferred draw. So good luck to him. Good luck, little Speedy, as Jody likes to refer to him as. But James, believe it or not, that is not all that is happening at Mandurah. That is on the track, off the track. I was lucky enough to go down to Mandurah and have a chat with track manager Alina Katana, and there is a lot happening in preparation for the Group 3 Mandurah Cup. There's free face painting, games truck for the kids, a lolly buffet, a prize for the best dressed, as well as a golden ticket door prize. They are nearly booked out at Chaser's restaurant, so secure your spot and your costume. So that's all happening at Mandurah on Friday. Saturday at Cannington, we have the final of the WA Distance Potential.
Right, and we saw 2 heats at headquarters last weekend, and Leia, it was a tale of 2 lilies, wasn't it? Rhonda Lily and Lakeview Lily getting up to win their respective heats. In fact, we may go back and have a look at the win there of Rhonda Lily. This dog, trained by Crystal Shinners, has been in pretty good form of late. It's won 4 of her past 6 starts. Gets into a pretty good battle here with Low Blow, a greyhound having his first start over this distance and performing well. Rhonda Lily, though, will have the advantage of having several runs under her belt over the 600-metre journey. She'll come up against some dogs in the final, which are just still trying to find their feet over this distance. It does take her time to push up into the lead here. When she does, though, in the back straight, she can't shake off Low Blow, and those 2 are stuck together for the rest of the journey. But Rhonda Lily good enough to hold on and win this one in 35.17. Don't worry, though, she can go quicker and certainly comes into the final here as a good chance.
She does, and she comes up with box 5. Let's take a look at this draw. The other heat winner, Lakeview Lily, as you mentioned, James, has drawn the 6. The dog, with a lot of early speed, in my opinion, is drawn well on the inside out of box 2, World Love. So it'll be interesting to see how she performs. But James, the dog I think is a good chance is jumping out of box 4, Stone Cold Ollie. He led by quite a healthy margin for the majority of the race, but got nailed right as he was approaching the post. So I think he just lost a bit of puff coming into the concluding stages. Although with that being said, it was his second run over this track and distance. So I think he'll be building more stamina the more he has these 600-metre runs.
Yeah, has been in good form, hasn't he? 5 wins from his past 7 starts. I spoke to trainer Justin Wood about another greyhound last week, and he mentioned Stone Cold Ollie and said, the dog had won recently, and then he also reminded me he'd won 4 in a row prior to that as well. So that's good form in anyone's language, and that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. But the dog that beat him in the heat, layer, Lakeview Lily, hard to get a real gauge on this dog at the moment. Up until about 6 weeks ago, had been racing in Tasmania. Since she's been in WA, has raced over a variety of distances. Hard to go past that finish, though. She came home like a freight train. That was impressive. So it does look like she is a dog on the up. And World Love, another greyhound you mentioned there, just did not get warm in the heat at all, but prior to that did run a 34.68 the week prior, so certainly a chance if you can repeat that sort of performance.
I think this is a pretty open race, James. We've got lots happening. Group 3 Mandurah Cup on Friday, and then we've got the WA Distance Potential Friday on Saturday. Distance Final on Saturday. We are racing here tonight at Cannington, and we've got some best bets. I've actually gone with a novelty play here, James. I'm liking race 6, Quinella, with the dogs 3 and 4. So 3 Keeps the Law and 4 Dodger Marley. They can both run some pretty impressive times, and I think they will appreciate the draw with slower dogs jumping on the inside. And well, Dodger Marley is that touch quicker early, but Keeps the Law can run home pretty fast. So I think it'll be between these two dogs. What is your best bet?
All right, nobody bet like it. Well, my best bet heading towards race 8, number 8, Dirty Harry. And I might be pulling the trigger, pun intended, a little bit early on in this dog's career by backing him. But I do like the name, Leia. Dirty Harry is one of my favourite movies as a kid. Why was I watching Dirty Harry as a kid? That's probably a story for another time, and might be some explanations as why I've turned it out
how old were you?
to be primary school
Oh,
age.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, it's a good movie. It's great. If you've never seen it, you get on board with it. But that's not the only reason I liked this dog. I liked what I saw from his maiden win last week. So first run he had, didn't get a look in at all, got squashed. Second time around, which was last week, he won this one, but did it when not everything went his own way. He does look like this type of dog that wants to find the rail but will go wide if he has to, and that's what he did last week. Expect his times to improve. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do from the pink this week.
Do you feel lucky, James? Well, do you?
Yes,
Oh, well,
I do.
well, there you go. And we hope to catch you on track.